Today, I want to talk about Black history, not as a celebration, not as a slogan, and not as something confined to a single month. I want to talk about Black history as truth, because history isn't just about the past. History shapes how we see ourselves. It shapes what we believe is possible, and it shapes who we are allowed to become. At the center of the conversation stands a man who understood that deeply, Carter G. Woodson, often called the father of Black history. Woodson didn't create Black history. He fought for its recognition. He challenged its erasure. He demanded that it be taught with honesty and dignity. To understand why Black History Month exists, we have to understand the silence that came before it. In the early 20th century, Black people were largely absent from textbooks. When we were included, it was often through stereotypes, distortions, or lies. Our achievements were minimized, our contributions were ignored, our brilliance was erased. Woodson understand this was not accidental, it was dangerous. He believed that when a people are taught they are have no past, they begin to doubt their worth in the present and their place in the future. This wasn't just about education, it's about identity, it's about dignity, it's about survival. So in 1926, Woodson established Negro History Week, not as a celebration, but as a correction. Black History Month was never meant to contain Black history, it was meant to introduce it. Woodson believed Black history should be taught every day, not remembered occasionally. The month was a doorway, not a destination. But over time, Black history became something people felt obligated to acknowledge rather than something essential to understand. Woodson warned against that because history without context becomes trivia, and trivia without meaning becomes disposable. Black history matters because it corrects false narratives. It reminds us that Black people were not passive observers of history, we were architects of it. It tells the truth about labor, innovation, resistance, creativity, faith, and endurance. It reminds us of educators who built schools with nothing but vision, scientists who advanced medicine without recognition, artists who shaped culture while being denied ownership, communities that thrived even when systems were built to exclude them. Representation shapes possibility. When people see themselves reflected in history, they understand they belong in the future. One of Woodson's most powerful insights was this: the mere imparting of information is not education. Education should develop critical thinking, not blind acceptance. Woodson wanted people to question narratives, to ask who benefits from omission and who is harmed by silence. Black history is not about replacing one narrative with another, it's about expanding the truth. And this is where the conversation becomes personal. Sometimes, if we're honest, it feels like we're ashamed of our own history, not because it lacks value, but because it holds pain. We avoid movies that show harsh realities of our past. We avoid books that tell the truth about what our people endured. Some refuse to step into museums that reveal what was done to us. But avoiding the truth doesn't free us from it. We have to face the fact that for a long time our people were treated as property, seen as nothing by those who claimed ownership over our lives. What's even harder to accept is that some of the thinking forced upon our ancestors didn't disappear. It survived. It shows up in how we sometimes judge one another, in how skin tone, hair texture, or appearance can quietly create division among us. Why we say black is beautiful, but is it? It's beautiful. But when beauty becomes a measure of superiority, we have to pause and ask, where did that thinking come from? Because that mindset was never ours. We shouldn't feel the need to emulate European culture in order to feel validated. We don't need to borrow identity when we already have one. While many of us are busy copying European standards of beauty, success, and worth, we often miss something important. They're copying ours, our music, our language, our style, our creativity. That should tell us something. When the very people who once enslaved our ancestors now mimic our culture, it proves something undeniable. Even in chains, our influence could not be erased. We were never inferior, we were imitated. The real loss is that others admire what we create when it's we who forgot the value of it ourselves. This is why Black history matters. It reminds us who we are before distortion, before division, before erasure. Woodson believed that knowing history equips people to resist manipulation, because when you know who you are harder to control. Black history is not about division, it's about clarity, and clarity is powerful. As we close, I invite you to sit with this as history you heard once, but as truth you carry forward. We know so much about other cultures and other histories. It's time we know our own, fully and honestly, because we can no longer afford to be blinded by the darkness of what was hidden or erased. When we honor Black history, we're not looking backward. We're standing firmly in who we are and choosing to move forward with clarity, dignity, and purpose. That was the vision of Woodson, and it's still ours to protect. So when you're saying black is beautiful and you got to wear your long hair, have your body done because you want to look like somebody else, you better remember you're beautiful, you're black, and wear your own hair that so many want, your own style that so many want. You don't need a boob job. You don't need a butt job, because whatever God gave you need to be thankful for it. Because yes, your black is beautiful.